By the end of this video, you'll understand a myriad of ways to organize Blender precisely. What's up? I'm Jonathan and welcome to Maker Tales, where I'm sharing my maker journey to help you go further in yours. So don't forget to subscribe and hit that little bell icon to never miss an opportunity to keep making. This video is all about organization within Blender. I'm going to cover everything from viewport organization to hierarchy organization to selection organization. Starting from a fresh Blender file, let's go ahead and talk about Blender organization, as it's probably incredibly important when it comes to precision modeling, especially once we start getting quite complicated and using arrays and all of that. So right this minute, I'm just duplicating things about, so we have something to go ahead and do some organization with. As you can see, our hierarchy here on the top right is an absolute mess now, and we need to sort this out. So let's start with the very simple thing first. We know how to rename things. You can either double click here in the hierarchy, or you can click the object, hit F2, and then you can go ahead and rename it. So I'm going to rename this one first cube. Fantastic. Now let's take a look at this hierarchy in a little bit more detail. So we have this thing called a collection. And as you can see, it looks like a folder. It holds things. So how can we make more collections and how do we interact with them? Well, collections themselves are not interactable. So if we were to select this collection here and hit G, you can see that nothing is going to move in the scene. However, you are able to select everything within the collection, or we can go ahead and take things in and out of a collection. So let's click our first cube, let's drag it down here, and you can see it is now outside of the collection. And we can get it, and we can also drag it back into the collection. As you can see right here, these are called restriction toggles. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment, but we can go ahead and hide things visibly through the entire collection. Okay, great, but this is still a mess. I want more collections. Okay, well, up here on the top right, it's a new collection. You click this, and here we have collection number 2. So we can go ahead, let's select all of this in our scene right here. I'm going to go ahead and drag that into collection number 2, and collection number 2 now holds all this over there. Now that's a little bit tedious. What's the quicker way? Well, select everything you want, hit M, and this brings the Move to Collection menu, and here we can go ahead and create a new collection. Fantastic, we have collection number 3. Now just very quickly, something that's quite powerful here is you can put a collection within a collection. So just be careful with that. So we now have 2 collections, and as you can expect, I'm going to go ahead, we're going to select this one right here, and we're going to go and create another collection. So we have 4 collections now. So why am I showing you this whole idea of collections if I can't go ahead and select a collection and then go and move it? Well, you can select by collection. If you select an object and then you go and use the shortcut Shift G, you have select grouped, and one of the ways you can select by is by collection. And as you can see, when we do select grouped, by collection selects the entire collection. Alright, now let's talk about deleting a collection. Okay, collection number 4. For some reason, I don't like it and I want to delete it. So I'm going to go over to this collection, I'm going to hit delete. Hold on, why is everything still there? Well, a collection doesn't interact with the 3D space. It is just a collection within your scene and your hierarchy here. So as you can see, your objects are all still there. In fact, it's sort of like a saving grace that if you were to delete a collection by accident, everything's still going to be there. All right, I'm going to recreate this collection number 4 now. All right, so now we have that. Let's talk about those restriction toggles once again. Up on our top right, we have this little funnel. This little funnel has this lovely menu right here, which is our selectability and viewability. Now, you might be asking, why am I doing another one for view if we already have one for view? And I'll come to that in just a moment. So now we have our lovely selectability, visibility, and viewport visibility. So with this, as you can imagine, we can go over to our first collection, say don't select it. So now when we go and drag a big box, you cannot select anything in the first collection. And like I said, you can put collections within collections, and it goes on and on and on. You can see the power of this. You can also go ahead and hide things with both of these. Okay. with that now done, let's quickly talk about the power of joining and using that as a collection instead. So the key thing here is with our collections is we have a way of selecting and sort of organizing the hierarchy, as well as a few other things that I'll show you later on. But as we already know is we have this idea of objects and mesh. And the way you can sort of see this is that an object of mesh is a collection of mesh, because we know that if we go into edit mode and we move this mesh, the origin point, which is technically the origin of the object, stays where it is because that is the object itself. So let's go ahead and let's just once again select all of these, going to this one right here and do our Control J to join things. We covered all of this right at the beginning of the course. So this here is basically our own sort of mini collection of mesh. And if we ever wanted to undo this, we can just go back out of it. And let's go P for our parting, and we can separate by loose parts. And you can also separate by material, and we'll cover that later. So loose parts, there we go. But right this minute, we can see all of our origin points have gone back to this point here. So let's just go and set our origin points back to our geometry. There we go. So that's the idea of using mesh to sort of use that as a collection instead of collections in this sense. But have you seen what's just happened? Because we just moved things from one collection into another collection, we now have all of our cubes back in our first collection. That is something to really be aware of because that can trip you up so quickly. So what's another way that we could go ahead and move everything collectively so that this wouldn't happen? Well, we've covered this before in our arraying and also within our spiral. It's the idea of parenting. So to parent things, you select the children, and then you select what you want to be the controlling thing. For right this minute, I'm going to go ahead and use this mesh here, and then we're going to parent it with Control P, and we can go Object. Right this minute, you can see our cubes are still in their collections, and then we can grab this cube here and move it around. Now the key thing here is we need to remember that when we go into edit mode, you're only editing this one thing. You're not editing them all. These are all individual objects in their own rights. And remember, a parent moves its children, but the child does not move other children or its parent. So there you go. Okay, so that's the idea of parenting, but I personally wouldn't do it like this, because then you're sort of putting everything onto this first cube, the mesh. And we usually don't want to give so much importance to a mesh. So let's go ahead, let's select all the children here, and let's go Alt-P to clear the parent. Okay, with the parent now cleared, let's go ahead and do the same workflow that we did in the other videos, which is creating an empty to be the parent. So I'm going to bring the 3D cursor up here to the top, and then let's create an empty right here. I'll create a plane axis. We'll move this along into the middle a bit, and then we will select all of these. So as you can see, we've done this wrong because we were already selected here. So we have to make this the active object now. So we'll select it again. Now it's the active object. Now it can be parented to. So Control P, set parent to, there we go. So now we have this lovely null object that controls everything. We can even go ahead and we can get this null object here. We can move it out over here. And then we still have all our cubes separated out in their own collections. We have this one empty right here. And usually what I go ahead and do is I rename an empty that is parented like this as a controller. So we have this controller that can go ahead and do anything we want with all of our children. Okay, now with that covered, let's talk about visibility. Because right this minute, yeah, by all means, things are getting organized here. We now have ways of moving them about. Our hierarchy is looking great. But if we had a whole bunch of cubes and they were all on top of each other, we wouldn't really be able to see the difference between them. In fact, if we didn't have this hierarchy, we wouldn't even know the difference without the grid. Okay, so let's do a very quick and dirty way of doing differences, visibly speaking. So I'm going to clear this parenting for a moment, and I'm just going to delete this as well. So here we go. Up here on our top right, we have some more viewport shading options. And the key one here is this color. Right this minute, it's set to material. However, you could set this to random. And as you can see, now every single object has a random color set to it. Now, this isn't exactly fantastic for us because if we had, I don't know, some sort of mechanism and we wanted to do everything that is made with this sort of material and that sort of way, we want to be able to color that ourselves. Well, we can do that, but that's talking about materials, and we'll get to that right now. So I'm going to set this back to material coloring. So let's go ahead and let's make this cube red in the viewport of shading, not the rendered one. So within this one, let's select this cube. We're going to go to a new menu here. We have gone into it very quickly in the array, but let's go here into our material properties. As you can see, it currently has a material set. Now, I don't want to use that material. I want a different material. So I'm going to go and I'm going to hit this one here, which gives me a new material. So I've clicked this and it's given me a new material from that material. However, let's say you didn't have any materials at all. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to undo, I'm going to select this material, and I'm going to delete it. So that you have no materials at all. So it's like this. Well, at this point, you would just click new, and that would create you a new material. Now, I'm wanting this to be for the first cube. So I'm going to go right here, and I'm going to set this to the first cube color. Right? Okay, great. Now, I want you to ignore all of this apart from viewport display. This right here is what we care about, because this right here is what's going to change the color within the solid viewport. So right this minute it's set to this white. Let's go ahead and set it to that red, and there you have it. We have that entire object now set to the color of red. So let's go ahead and let's do this once again. We'll do it to this one over here. It already has a material set. You know what? I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to hit plus because I think that also creates a material. Well, it doesn't. That creates a material slot. So be careful about that because we can go ahead and create a material now, and I'll call this, I don't know, EX2. For example, 2, we're going to go here, we're going to change this to blue. So what on earth is going on here? I've just gone ahead and set this to blue, but it hasn't changed. This is because it's set to this material here. Now, you might think, okay, well, I'll bring this up and that will change it. No, it doesn't work quite like hierarchy. What we have to do is this material here, for now, just delete it, and you will see it will now apply the material that it was set within it. There's a little bit more to it, but there's no point if we're not going to be doing rendering. So let's say for some reason I want this one to be blue too, but I don't want to join it. I want it to be the exact same color. Well, we can go ahead, go here, and we can set this to EX2, and there we go. But that seems quite tedious to go into all that trouble. So if I wanted to change this one to red, what I can do is I can click this one, shift click what I want it to be, go Control L for linking, and this will make links of a whole bunch of things, but what we're interested here is by material. And now if we go link by material, you will see it was like child to parent, so we told this guy to become this color over here. Okay, let's go ahead and let's create more colors. So we're going to go here, I'm going to create a new color, I'm going to call this EX3. We'll make this a nice green, and then we'll go over with this one here, make another color, and I'm going to call this EX4, and we will make this, let's go with yellow, why not? Yeah, actually no, something that's quite different. There we go, a pink. So we have our red, our blue, our green, and our pink. Now, why is this so important? Well, ignoring the fact of the collections and how we want this to all be separate, this could actually all be within one object. So I'm going to select all of these right this minute. I'm going to do a Shift-D and move this out on the Y, just because I don't want to ruin the work that we've done over here. So with all this selected, let's go ahead. I'm going to bring them all into one object by joining them. And now, as you can see, they're all joined and they all still have their individual color. How does this work? And what would happen if I were to go ahead and create a new face here? So let's go extruding out. Okay, that's working great here. But what happens if you were to bring in some mesh? So let's go ahead, let's bring in a cube, and if we move this out, we can bring the cube over here. Okay, great, that cube is now red, but I don't want it to be red. I wanted this to be another color. How can I organize this? Well, the way that this is organized is these materials here have already been assigned to their faces. And this is why we couldn't change the color before. So if we go ahead and we create a new material slot, and then we create a new material, and let's call this material EX5, and let's make this, I don't know, some yellow again, we can go ahead and select this face and all the faces. So if you want, you could only select 2 faces, go to EX5, and we go ahead and assign it. And as you can see, now those faces have been assigned that material. I hope that makes sense, because that's the key thing here. So I'm going to select all of those, going to go to EX5 and assign it. Great. So remember that whole idea of parting? Well, we can go ahead and use our P to separate within edit mode. So P, we're going to separate, and here we can do it now by material. And they have all been set to different materials, so we hit this material, and now you can see back in object mode, they are all separated out into their materials. And that is so powerful, you don't know. It's honestly, it can be incredibly powerful to be able to work with materials in this selectability fashion within edit mode. Okay, so now that pretty much covers Blender organization pretty well, but I'm going to take this one step further. I really think that Blender organization also deals with the whole idea of viewing organization. So if we had a whole bunch of mess here and we very much wanted to see just one thing, I want to see just this cube and nothing else, how would I do it? Well, take a look here in our view. We have view, we have something called a local view, and then we can toggle our local view. So right this minute it's set to a numpad of /. For me it's also / on my keyboard. It's up to you. You can go ahead and change this by right clicking on it. But what I want to show you is you can go ahead and go into local views. So I'm going to select these 3 here. Why am I selecting 3? You'll see in a moment. I'm going to hit my /. And now I've gone ahead and focused just on this here. Now what's really powerful is you could take this into edit mode and say just this face, focus. And now I'm focusing just to this face right here. It's so incredibly powerful to be able to do this. But let's say we're here, we've done a focus. Oh, I didn't want to bring this light in. Well, for that, hit M and then you can remove it from your local view. You haven't deleted it, it's just out of this focused local view. All right, now we've learned how to hide things quickly like that. Well, not really hide. That is something called the local view. If you want to hide things, we have the hiding, which is H. So let's select our cube here, hit H, and it's disappeared, hasn't it? Well, let's take a look at what's happening here in the hierarchy. As you can see, what's happened is that the visibility has turned off. So to bring things back from this hidden dimension, go Alt-H, and that brings back everything. So we could select all of this, hit H, and it's hidden, completely gone. You cannot see it. And go Alt-H, and it'll come back. Now what's so powerful about this hiding thing? Well, within edit mode, you'd go ahead and select these, hit H, and it hides those faces as well. Do keep in mind that if you go back into object mode, they are still there. When you go back into edit mode, they will still be hidden. So if you want to bring those back, you have to go Alt-H and it brings it all back. That's the reveal hidden. Right, so why did I go ahead and show you this whole idea of the viewport thing then? Well, the whole idea of this viewport is that if you hide things through the viewport like this, and then we were to hide these here, and then you were to do an Alt-H to bring things back, have you seen? It has not brought back this cube. Alt-H is incredibly powerful because it brings everything back. And you really need to be able to hide things completely from the viewport that you don't want to work with. So then you're able to toggle things in and out of a working environment for yourself. So that is the whole idea of hiding. Now there's so much more still to hiding, because we have the idea of collections, plus I haven't covered everything of hiding just yet. There's another way of hiding. Right this minute we've done hiding individually like this and selecting and hiding. As you can imagine, we could go ahead and undo things individually. We could also do a shift invert selection and then do a hide, but instead of doing that shift invert selection, you can just go ahead and go a shift H, and that does the same thing. All right, now let's talk about the collections and hiding. Here's the amazing thing. If you're in object mode and you have things already set up in collections like this, you can just go ahead and press 1, 2, 3, 4. And as you can see, that goes ahead and brings up separate collections. Now, how do I go ahead and bring everything back? Well, hold down Shift, and then you can bring back the visibility and toggle the visibility of each one individually like this. Take a look at what's happening here in our hierarchy when I'm hiding our first collection with our number 1. You can see it's just hiding the visibility. So if you want it completely gone, you could go ahead and do viewport visibility. Okay, so we've now talked about hiding, collection hiding. Let's take it that one more level. As you can remember, I went ahead and I got you to download this lovely add-on here, which is called Stored Views. Now, I've got stored views because I find it incredibly powerful. Let's go ahead and initialize it. Once it's been initialized, you're going to see it's gone ahead and brought all these cameras and all sorts of lovely stuff here. The key thing that I want you to know here is that you've got this idea of saving views. So let's go ahead, let's move round to here. We're going to go View, Save Current View. And now we have view from this angle 1. Fantastic. You know what? I want another view from up here. I'm going to save this current view, and now I have another view done. Now, why is this so cool? Well, we can go ahead, go here. We can then just click on this little button, and this will take us back to our exact views. So if you were doing some precision modeling, that you were focusing on some little tiny thing over here and you were working on that, you could save this current view that you've found to do your work in and have another view all the way out back here, so then you can just go ahead and switch between the two views and work to your heart's content and see them very quickly and easily. So that's the whole idea of stored views. But let's go ahead and take this one step further. I've showed you now how to go ahead and do all the organization possible. I've gone and showed you everything about the viewing possibility, but we still haven't ever had the organization such as aligning. However, I very much got you to install an add-on right at the beginning of this align tool. What exactly is this align tool? This align tool is something incredibly powerful. So let's just go and make a mess here. Let's move this here, that way, and then something a little like that. So it works off the notion once again. Child to the parent. The parent has been named here. If you wanted everything to be in the exact same position, rotation, and all the rest, hit this button, and they're now all right there. Okay, once again, let's move things out all over the place so we have something to play with. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's say we wanted all of these to be down on the same Z as this one. And you will see right now that it's using the origin point for all of this. So we're going to align the location by the Z. There you go. So this here is the align tool. Now, something that I have not played along with, and you can very much take a look at it, is the advanced section. This advanced section will show you so many more things, but I'm sorry to say that I myself am not well versed enough to go ahead and show you this. Let me know in the comments if you do want me to, because I'm more than happy to go ahead and learn and show you this. But well done for getting through that organization video. Yes, there's a whole host of different ways of going about it, but at the end of the day, you're the best one to pick which is the best way that works for you. You might want to work just with collections, or you might want to work just with objects and hiding things. A huge thank you to my patrons. You guys are absolutely awesome, and it's the reason why I'm able to make all these videos right here completely for free. And if you're enjoying what I'm making here and you think I'm worthy of your support, I would love to see you there too. Don't forget that we have a Discord, and that's linked down in the description. Thank you for watching, keep making, and let the quest continue.